My father had 2 rules while I was growing up. 1, no talking at the dinner table. And 2, no talking in the car. So, the fact that I'm a quiet person should not come as any surprise. But at school, it was even worse. I was shy, I was nervous, I was afraid I was going to be judged and criticized. And when you can't talk at school, they think you're dumb. In 3rd grade, they decided to have all the readers in one group rather than 3 separate groups in the teachers' classrooms. Well, that was fine, but they didn't ask the teachers who was in each group. They had some guy from the district. He had a list of words, you had to read the words, and once you had trouble, they figured you're in this group or that group and the other group. Well, I did terrible because I didn't like to talk, so I got miscategorized. A month later, they put me in the group I should have been in. And you know, the same thing happened to me the next year. At the same time, they sent me to the nurse for speech therapy. I couldn't figure out why. I didn't have trouble talking, I just didn't like to do it. So I would read a couple of words, she'd give me a couple of pointers, mostly she'd just have me take a little nap. Things changed for me when I went into 5th grade. I had a male teacher. That might sound kind of funny, but my school had 20 teachers and only 2 were men. His name was Mr. Michaels. He wasn't very tall. I was about as tall as he was. He had a big pompadour hair to make him look bigger, but his eyes twinkled, he had a great smile, and he loved his students. But he had a secret. My folks believed in supporting the arts. We would see plays at the community theater, and we'd see concerts at the Ventura High School, and one day we were seeing a production of Oliver, and I fell asleep. But I woke up, and there was my teacher, Mr. Michaels. They were at the bar singing a drinking song, and he was falling on a girl. I couldn't believe it. He wasn't a falling on a girl type of a guy. Well, next Monday, he came in class and said, you know, I'm doing a play at the Plaza Players, and one of the students saw me. It's Nelson. What did you think? And I said, he fell on a girl. He said, yes, I fell on a girl. This wasn't the kind of review he was hoping for. But you know, he didn't just do drama, he taught drama. The first play I ever did was in his class. The teachers had to do production for Christmas for the folks. So he wrote a play, it had 2 kids, 2 parents, 2 grandparents. I was one of the taller boys, so I got to be grandpa with Sandy, one of the prettiest girls in class. Oh, it was wonderful. There was a picture of me, and I knew all my lines, and I talked really well. A couple of months later, he had some Sherry Lewis puppets, Hush Puppy and Charlie Horse. He had students act out, and I raised my hand. I didn't like to talk in class, but I sure wanted to perform. And I was with Charlie. We were the last group, and we just did so good. They laughed, and they loved us, and I was just in heaven. Then the bell rang. It was time for lunch. Oh, I spent all lunch hour planning and preparing for my next act. But we had to do history instead. A couple of years later, I saw him do another production. He wasn't just a chorus boy this time, he was the star. It was Stop the World, I Want to Get Off by Leslie Bricus and Anthony Newley. They did a lot of songs together. The most famous one was Pure Imagination from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. He was fabulous. He was so good, you'd think he should do it professionally. Well, I didn't hear about Mr. Michaels again until I was 21 in college. My mom sent me a letter. She said, I have some bad news about Mr. Michaels. There was a clipping from the paper. He committed suicide. I just said, it must be because he was gay. Now, I didn't know. I had no reason of knowing that. I think I was more projecting my own traumas. A few months prior, I accepted the fact that I was gay. Why it took me 8 years, I'll never know. Because when you see James Bond Sean Connery as James Bond, and Goldfinger kissing the inappropriately named Honor Blackman as Pussy Galore. And you're hoping James Bond will kiss you and not Miss Galore. What else do you need to know? But it was the times I was living in. The first time I heard the word homosexual was in a movie called The Detective with Frank Sinatra. I learned two things about homosexuals. One, the police would harass you, and two, if you said somebody else was, they'd kill you. And society wasn't much better. The church said it was a perversion. The shrink said you had a mental illness until 1971. The cops, they just arrest you until 75. And society, they'd say you're going to be unloved and alone the rest of your life. Well, if 70-year-old Nelson could talk to 21-year-old Nelson, he would tell him that I have been loved and I have loved deeply for the last 40 years. And I'd also tell him in 50 years, being bald would be really cool. So, when I think of Mr. Michaels, I think of a kind, generous man who loved his students. And whenever I get on a stage, whether it's the Ojai Arts Center, or for Ghost Walk with Santa Paula Theater Center, or even at the 5x5x5, I thank Mr. Michaels that he showed me how to have a voice. Thank you.